Good evening. Welcome to Just the News. I'm Faye. In news that came in about an hour ago, the US government has confirmed an explosion outside of Kabul airport in Afghanistan. Pentagon Press Secretary John Kirby has tweeted and said, "We can confirm an explosion outside Kabul airport. Casualties are unclear at this time. We will provide additional details when we can." The White House official told NBC News that President Joe Biden has been briefed on the blast as well. This comes hours after Western intelligence agencies had warned of a threat. According to Reuters, British Armed Forces Minister had said, and I quote, "There is a very clear, credible intelligence that Islamic State militants are planning to attack those gathering at Kabul airport in an attempt to flee Afghanistan." Thousands of people have been gathering at that airport, which has turned out to be the only route to leave the country of Afghanistan since the Taliban took it over. In the meantime, a spokesperson of the Taliban yesterday said that Pakistan is like a second home to the group and vowed to deepen trade and strategic ties with the neighboring country. He also said the Taliban wants good ties with India. In an interview with the Pakistan-based news channel, the spokesperson said, and I quote, "Afghanistan shares its borders with Pakistan. We are traditionally aligned when it comes to religion. The people of both the countries mingle with each other. So we are looking forward to deepening our ties with Pakistan." In India, at an all-party meet held by the government said that evacuating Indians from Afghanistan is the top priority at this point, and the situation there is very critical. The meeting was attended by 37 political leaders from 31 political parties. External Affairs Minister Jaishankar tweeted after the meeting saying, and I quote, "There is a long-standing national sentiment on Afghanistan, and therefore there is national concern now at developments. We are gathered with national spirit. We have undertaken evacuation method operations in extremely difficult conditions, especially from the airport. Our immediate concern is evacuation." According to PTI, a document shared in the meeting shows the Indian government has evacuated 175 embassy personnel, 263 other Indian nationals, 112 Afghan nationals, including Hindus and Sikhs, and 15 third country nationals, at a total figure of 565. Moving on to other news that's coming in across the country right now. The President of India today has approved the names of 9 new judges for the Supreme Court, including 3 women as recommended by the Supreme Court Collegium to appoint as judges for the top court. For the first time in the history of independent India, we will have a woman judge who will become the Chief Justice of our Supreme Court. Also, for the first time in our history, 3 women judges have been appointed to the Supreme Court in one go. Justice B.V. Nagaratna of the Karnataka High Court is in line to become the first woman Chief Justice of India, a milestone in our national history. The Supreme Court, which currently has 25 judges but a sanctioned strength of 34, will then have filled all but one vacancy, and the new judges will be sworn in on the 31st of August. I have to give you a trigger warning for this next story. Some of our viewers might find the details of this story very worrying. Karnataka Home Minister Araga Jnanendra has blamed the survivor of the Mysuru gang rape incident and said that she should not have gone to that deserted area. Speaking to ANI, he said, and I quote, "The rape happened in Mysuru, but the Congress is trying to gain political mileage from the incident. It is an inhumane incident. The girl and her friend must have gone to a deserted place. They should not have gone there." According to Deccan Herald, when speaking at 2 reporters, the minister also said that the Congress is now trying to rape me. The Congress is trying to rape the Home Minister. They're trying to reap political dividends. A 22-year-old MBA student 2 days ago was gang raped outside of Mysore at the foothills of the foothill areas of the Chamundi Hills. Now, the Chamundi Hills and that area leads to the Chamundeshwari temple, which is a temple that's very publicly visited. But apparently the area that they were in was a little secluded. When the young woman and a friend of hers were walking in that area, they were apparently a group of men who were drinking, who saw them. They attacked the 2 young people. They attacked the young man with small boulders and beat him up, and they raped the young woman for over 2 hours. They beat them mercilessly and left them there when they ran away. The two survivors managed to reach a hospital 6 hours later. Speaking to ANI, the Chief Minister has said the girl was gang raped and has been hospitalized while the boy was beaten badly. It's an unfortunate incident. My government has taken it very seriously. The perpetrators will be brought to justice. No arrests have taken place in the last 2 days. The police is now looking for cell phone. They're tracking cell phones from the nearest towers, because we understand also from the statement of the young man that the men made videos of the incident, which means they were carrying their phones with them. The young woman is in an extremely critical stage and has not been able to give her statement to the police yet. In an even more shocking case, the Chhattisgarh High Court has discharged a man on the offence of marital rape, observing that sexual intercourse by a husband with his legally wedded wife, even against her will or forced on her, is not a crime. The judge said, and I quote, "The complainant is the legal wedded wife of applicant number 1, and therefore sexual intercourse or sexual act with her by her husband cannot constitute an offence of rape, even if it was by force or against her wish." Now, remember, this is because marital rape is not against the law in this country. The woman in this case had alleged that her husband forced her to have unnatural physical relationships with him, including, I beg your pardon, inserting vegetables into her private parts despite her protest. This had in fact gone to a sessions court, which had filed a case against the husband on cruelty, criminal acts with common intention, unnatural sexual offence, and husband or relative subjecting a woman to cruelty against the in-laws. But the High Court now has discharged him of the crime of an unnatural sexual offence or of rape. So he is no longer accused of those crimes, because according to our laws, it is not illegal to rape your wife. Moving on, the Supreme Court today said there is a disturbing trend in the country that police officers side with the ruling party. The Supreme Court bench, headed by Chief Justice Ramana, said that police officers who want to be in the good books of the ruling party misuse their power and harass political opponents. This comes at a time when there have been allegations of politically motivated investigations and the police targeting rivals of the ruling party. The Supreme Court was hearing a petition of the Chhattisgarh police officer who had been suspended and charged with sedition. The central government today has announced a new drone policy. Under the new Drone Rules 2021, the coverage of drones has been increased from 300 kgs to 500 kgs, including heavy payload carrying drones and drone taxis, which means that India could soon witness drone taxis, which may help reduce traffic and air pollution. The Civil Aviation Minister, Mr. Jyotiraditya Scindia, has said, and I quote, "Air taxis are being researched globally. Many startups are coming up. The time is not far when taxis, like taxis you see on the road, you will see taxis in the air with this new drone policy." End quote. A COVID update now. India has reported 46,164 new cases and 607 deaths in the last 24 hours. Of the 46,000 cases, 30,000 cases came from Kerala, where the test positivity rate is now 18%. Kerala Health Minister Veena George has cautioned people that increased indoor transmission of COVID at homes and urged people to strictly abide by the directives of the government. A lot of people are saying that the relaxation and the moving around during the Onam festival has caused a spike, because this spike now we've seen for the last 2 days. Mumbai's civic body, BMC, has said that it plans to reduce the 84-day mandatory gap between the Covishield doses for people who need to travel abroad urgently. People can use their visas or their confirmed travel tickets to avail of this benefit. According to ANI, meanwhile, the government sources have said that they're considering reducing the gap between the 2 doses of Covishield as well. This will be further discussed by the National Technical Advisory Group on Immunization in India. According to NDTV, a top government expert panel member, N.K. Arora, has said that there is no plan to reduce the gap because of under several reports. He said the National Advisory Group reviews vaccine effectiveness data on a regular basis, and currently there's no proposal for a change of that dose. Remember, the gap between Covishield doses was increased to 84 days. Covaxin is 28 days as a gap. But in the meantime, we also had Cyrus Poonawalla of the company that manufactures Covishield, Serum Institute, saying that the gap was increased because of a shortage of doses and not because of medical advice. Looking at news coming in from the world of business right now. According to Mint, Google has partnered with Fintech platform Setu to set up and offer fixed deposits via Google Pay to its customers. Apparently, the initial rollout of these fixed deposits from the Equitas Small Finance Bank will be offered for up to 1 year at an interest rate of 6.35%. Users will have to complete their KYC with Aadhaar and then use an OTP to start a fixed deposit. Let's take a look now at news coming in from across the world. The United Nations World Food Programme has warned that millions of Afghans now face what they called a catastrophe on top of a catastrophe. The Food Programme Executive Director says 14 million people in Afghanistan, which is 1/3 of their population, is facing food insecurity. And that includes 2 million children who are already malnourished. On top of the year's conflict, Afghans' food security has also been threatened by drought and the pandemic. Oman has lifted its travel restrictions for fully vaccinated people in 20 countries, including India, starting the 1st of September. Travelers will now have to show their RT-PCR test as well. One piece of positive news before we leave you for the day. Pune-based National Chemical Laboratory has announced a new form of research in which biomedical waste like PPE suits and masks can be recycled into different plastic products. Earlier, all of these waste, these face masks and PPE suits were burnt, and that's obviously not good news for the environment. Speaking about this research, Dr. Ashish Lele, who is the director, had said that India used apparently 200 tons of this pandemic wear, which turned into waste during the peak of the pandemic. It was all thrown away or eventually burnt. They've decided now to find a way to reuse and recycle it. That brings us to the end of the bulletin. Thank you so much for watching. Leave us a smiley face and a thumbs up so we know that you heard it out till the end of the bulletin, and leave us a word of suggestion if there's anything we can do to improve this broadcast for you. Thank you and good night.